Hey YouTube. I'm back with another crypto project. Today we are going to analyze details related to the graph. In the video description you can check all the project links. Before we start, a little disclaimer, this is not going to be any investment advice. My job is to seek and present you with a review of projects. You should always do your own research before investing. If you are new to the channel, please subscribe to the channel and also hit the bell so you don't miss any updates. The graph is a decentralized protocol for indexing and querying data from blockchains, starting with Ethereum. It makes it possible to query data that is difficult to query directly. Indexing blockchain data is really hard. Blockchain properties like finality, chain reorganizations, or uncled blocks complicate this process further, and make it not just time-consuming but conceptually hard to retrieve correct query results from blockchain data. The graph solves this with a decentralized protocol that indexes and enables the performant and efficient querying of blockchain data. These APIs can then be queried with a standard GraphQL API. Today, there is a hosted service as well as a decentralized protocol with the same capabilities. Both are backed by the open-source implementation of GraphNode. The graph learns what and how to index Ethereum data based on subgraph descriptions, known as the subgraph manifest. The subgraph description defines the smart contracts of interest for a subgraph, the events in those contracts to pay attention to, and how to map event data to data that the graph will store in its database. Once you have written a subgraph manifest, you use the graph CLI to store the definition in IPFS and tell the indexer to start indexing data for that subgraph. The flow follows these steps. A decentralized application adds data to Ethereum through a transaction on a smart contract. The smart contract emits one or more events while processing the transaction. GraphNode continually scans Ethereum for new blocks and the data for your subgraph they may contain. GraphNode finds Ethereum events for your subgraph in these blocks and runs the mapping handlers you provided. The mapping is a WASM module that creates or updates the data entities that GraphNode stores in response to Ethereum events. The decentralized application queries the GraphNode for data indexed from the blockchain, using the node's GraphQL endpoint. The GraphNode in turn translates the GraphQL queries into queries for its underlying data store in order to fetch this data, making use of the store's indexing capabilities. The decentralized application displays this data in a rich UI for end users, which they use to issue new transactions on Ethereum. The cycle repeats. The graph network consists of indexers, curators and delegators that provide services to the network, and serve data to Web3 applications. Consumers use the applications and consume the data. To ensure economic security of the graph network and the integrity of data being queried, participants stake and use graph tokens, GRT. GRT is a work token that is an ERC20 on the Ethereum blockchain, used to allocate resources in the network. Active indexers, curators and delegators can provide services and earn income from the network, proportional to the amount of work they perform and their GRT stake. Now, we'll go into an in-depth review of what each tab means for you. Indexers are the backbone of the protocol, being the ones that stake on subgraphs, index them, and serve queries to anyone consuming subgraphs. In the indexers table, you'll be able to see an indexer's delegation parameters, their stake, how much they have staked to each subgraph, and how much revenue they have made off of query fees and indexing rewards. Deep dives below. Query fee cut, the percent of the query fee rebates that the indexer keeps when splitting with delegators. Effective reward cut, the indexing reward cut applied to the delegation pool. If it's negative, it means that the indexer is giving away part of their rewards. If it's positive, it means that the indexer is keeping some of their rewards. Cooldown remaining, the time remaining until the indexer can change the above delegation parameters. Cooldown periods are set up by indexers when they update their delegation parameters. Owned, this is the indexer's deposited stake, which may be slashed for malicious or incorrect behavior. Delegated, stake from delegators which can be allocated by the indexer, but cannot be slashed. Allocated, stake that indexers are actively allocating towards the subgraphs they are indexing. Available delegation capacity, the amount of delegated stake the indexers can still receive before they become over-delegated. Max delegation capacity, the maximum amount of delegated stake the indexer can productively accept. An excess delegated stake cannot be used for allocations or rewards calculations. Query fees, this is the total fees that end users have paid for queries from an indexer over all time. Indexer rewards, this is the total indexer rewards earned by the indexer and their delegators over all time. Indexer rewards are paid through GRT issuance. Indexers can earn both query fees and indexing rewards. Functionally, this happens when network participants delegate GRT to an indexer. This enables indexers to receive query fees and rewards depending on their indexer parameters. Indexing parameters are set by clicking on the right-hand side of the table, or by going into an indexer's profile and clicking the Delegate button. Curators analyze subgraphs to identify which subgraphs are of the highest quality. Once a curator has found a potentially attractive subgraph, they can curate it by signaling on its bonding curve. In doing so, curators let indexers know which subgraphs are high quality and should be indexed. Curators can be community members, data consumers, or even subgraph developers who signal on their own subgraphs by depositing GRT tokens into a bonding curve. By depositing GRT, curators mint curation shares of a subgraph. As a result, curators are eligible to earn a portion of the query fees that the subgraph they have signaled on generates. The bonding curve incentivizes curators to curate the highest quality data sources. The curator table in this section will allow you to see the date the curator started curating, the number of GRT that was deposited, the number of shares a curator owns. Delegators play a key role in maintaining the security and decentralization of the graph network. They participate in the network by delegating GRT tokens to one or multiple indexers. Without delegators, indexers are less likely to earn significant rewards and fees. Therefore, indexers seek to attract delegators by offering them a portion of the indexing rewards and query fees that they earn. Delegators, in turn, select indexers based on a number of different variables, such as past performance, indexing reward rates, and query fee cuts. Reputation within the community can also play a factor in this. The delegators table will allow you to see the active delegators in the community, as well as metrics such as the number of indexers a delegator is delegating towards, a delegator's original delegation, the rewards they have accumulated but have not withdrawn from the protocol, the realized rewards they withdrew from the protocol, total amount of GRT they have currently in the protocol, the date they last delegated at. Fishermen and arbitrators. Indexers can be penalized for malicious behavior. That's why there's a need for someone who reports these issues as well as someone who decides on whether or not it really can be considered malicious behavior. Fishermen are those who verify that the indexer's response to queries is correct. If not, they report it to the arbitrators who decide whether or not to slash the indexer's staked GRT. These are important since although there are policies and threats like the thawing period and slashing meant to prevent malicious behavior, there can still occur some. That's why we need participants who can report it as well as follow through on the threat of slashing. Tokenomics. GRT is an ERC20 token with an initial supply of 10 billion. It is subjected to a 3% inflation rate, but given the structure of the network, GRT could become deflationary. This is because from query fees 1% is always burned, also the taxes implemented in the network result in token burning, and lastly all the unclaimed rewards from the rebate pool are burned. I couldn't find any data on how much activity we would actually need in order for GRT to become deflationary, but at least the possibility is there. However, a 3% inflation isn't that bad either. Remember that Ethereum 2 had an inflation rate far greater than 3% before the EIP 1559 while still providing good returns. Remembering that this video is not an investment tip or a promise of easy or quick gains, we only introduce reliable and trusted projects to you. If you liked the video and found something interesting, then please like, share and leave a comment. Your feedback is very important to us.